Are you ready for some Q? Some Q. Some Q. Some Q. Hey, welcome to the Daily Reads book series. I'm Christine Karras. T-I-N-A. This is where we read books, talk about books, no special effects, no theme music, none of that fancy stuff going on here. And if you could please hit the like and subscribe, I would really appreciate it. We are on this. I think I said this a month ago and I was wrong. So I'm saying it one more time. I think this is the last time an episode is out of order. These are in air date order, not in film date order. So we are doing Death Wish today. Number 130. However, it's Q. So does Q have a death wish? It's always interesting when John DeLeon shows up. Sorry for the mispronunciation, but we shall get to it. There is a comet coming towards the ship, and they can't seem to get out of the way. There is no captain's voiceover here. A comet is coming our way. Oh gosh, could it be a real comet or is it Q? Is it Q or is it a comet? Do we even think about Q? Has it ever occurred to our brains that there's a Q in this world? There's a comet coming towards our ship. We better get out of the way. So B'Elanna goes down to the transporter room they're gonna transport a couple of pieces from this asteroid or meteor to examine it. They feel they have not seen something like this before, so they want to examine it. Oops, it's not John DeLeon. I was wrong. It's another person who's playing Q. You know those fragments we were going to download, Captain? Well, it's a man. And he says it's Q. And Janeway's like, I'm coming. Red alert. So it's Q, but not our Q. It's the wrong Q. It's not our John DeLeon Q. It's a different Q. Sad. Who wants our Q back? He's making trouble already. He zaps them into the mess hall. And he's so excited to meet her. He's heard so much about her. But he's not our Q. To be or not to be our Q. He's not our Q. To be or not to be Q. I just thought of that. What a pleasure it is to meet you. Oh, am I doing this right? It's been so long time since I've had the opportunity to greet you. Oh, here, take a seat. Allow me to get a more appropriate setting. My name is Catherine Janeway, Captain of the Federation. The Federation Starship Voyager. Yes, I know all that. Welsh Rare Rabbit. Your grandfather used to make it. It looked like a couple of slices of ham to me, but she is not pleased with him being on her ship. Appreciation for what? For letting me out of my captivity. You were being held against your will inside the comet? A manner of speaking, and you, all of you, you're mortals, aren't you? Who was holding you prisoner? And you only lived for 9 years. That's right. How I envy you. Why is that, Kes says. So he's like, you only lived for 9 years. He was held in captivity in the comet, and they have freed him from his prison. Look, I don't know what you want here, but I know who you are. Every captain in Starfleet has been briefed about your appearances on the Enterprise, and I warn you. My appearances, oh, you're mistaken me for, oh well, no matter. I really must get on with my business before the others realize I'm here. When someone asks you about me, and they will, you will tell them you know I have 300 years to think of appropriate last words. I wanted something memorable, quotable. Would you tell them I said I die not for myself but for you? I know, enigmatic, provocative. They'll understand. Well, goodbye to you all. Many thanks. Here's the end of me. And he makes everybody disappear. So everybody in the lunchroom disappears except him. Ah. Oh, of course, of course. I'm a little out of practice, so that's what I'm afraid they're gone. Gone where? Just gone. I apologize for the inconvenience. You just made half my crew disappear and you're apologizing for the inconvenience? Bring him back! So he transports them from the mess hall to the bridge. And it's dark. Why is it so dark? I can't see the peeps. You want to have dramatic acting? You gotta let me see your actors. And then the real Q shows up. What have you done, Q? Well, now, isn't this just fine? Humans aren't supposed to be in this quadrant for another 100 years. I'd bring them here. I didn't bring them here. Nothing to do with me. How did you get out, Q? I'm afraid we're responsible for that, Janeway says. Oh well, I guess that's what we get for having a woman in the captain's seat. I was betting that Riker would get this command. May I assume you're the Q I've heard about? Have you heard about me, little old me? Oh, do tell. Has Jean-Luc Picard been whispering behind my back? Say, is this the ship of the Valkyries, or have you human women finally done away with men altogether? There was a slight accident. Oh, let me guess. You were trying to commit suicide. Now you see why we've locked him up for the last 300 years. Um, he brings all the men back. Right? He brings the men back. Uh, and he looks at Chakotay's tattoo and calls it facial art. How wilderness of him. Captain, all right, Q. We should be going now. I'm not leaving. Captain Janeway, I demand asylum. This is a joke. No, it isn't. I'm officially asking you, Captain, to grant me asylum and give me protection from my enemies, which is him. You would ask these puny humans to protect you from me? Fat chance. So then this Q makes the old Q disappear, which is kind of odd because the old Q is more powerful than this Q. What did you do to him? Janeway says. Nothing. He's still there in the 24th century. I just took us the rest of the way to an old hiding place of mine. Report, Janeway says. There are no stars out there, Kim says. Well, that's partially accurate. There's no universe outside. On screen, Commander. So this is what they see outside their view screen. So then Tuvok says, Captain, based on our readings, it appears we've been transported back in time to the birth of the universe. Quinn says, a very old hiding place. Oh, I know all the hiding places, Q. I hid here from the Continuum myself once. This ship will not survive the formation of the cosmos. Yes, just think of the horror of having your DNA spread from one corner of the universe to the other. Why would you be the origin of the humanoid form? Q, either Q, get us out of here. You heard the lady. Q, back to your cell. So then Paris says we are being attacked. And Chakotay says by a ship. And Paris says, I'm not sure what they are. Kim says, Captain, I don't believe this, but according to my readings, we're being attacked by protons. We've been reduced to subatomic portions. He'll never find us here. Mr. Tuvok, see if you can release a positive ion charge to repel them. Ready or not, here I am, and Q vanishes, and the shaking of the ship stops. What is all this stuff going on? Really? And then Q says to the other Q, "You can't hide from me." How would you like to spend your eternity as a Gorkian midwife toast? Just try it. Stop. You want asylum? Fine. We'll have a hearing. A hearing? You would put this future in your delicate hands, oh so touch soft? What is your secret, dear? When the captain of stealthy vessel receives an official request for asylum, there's a clear procedure to follow. I suggest to end your deadlock, and to save my ship, we follow it to the letter. Well, this could go on for a millennium or two, Q says. Oh, I suppose, all right, I accept on behalf of the Continuum on one condition. If you rule in our favor, Q agrees to return to his confinement. I have one condition of my own, Q says. If you rule in my favor, then the Continuum must grant me mortality. So, he can kill himself as a human. Tell me, if you had powers, would you want to be human again? No! To go anywhere you want, whenever you want, be extra uh, pretty, be extra stylish, have money, have wealth, have powers to transport yourself anywhere in the universe, anywhere, to be able to grant wishes, spread, cure all diseases, feed everybody. Everybody in the world has some kind of talent, even if it's drawing or clay, or give something a talent. Everybody has their own special talent, and they can use that special talent to make a few dollars so they can feed their families, or design clothes, or maybe mow lawns, or cut trees, or trim, or they can do anything in the world. Just everybody in the world's got a little thing they're there to do, and give everybody the capability of earning a living and being able to feed their families and house their families and cure all diseases, um and make everybody equal. Or, you know what, make currency invalid anymore, just everything. I wonder how the barter system would work. Isn't that what they do here, the barter system? I wonder how that would work, if it's capable of working. But then again, we might just make it capable for everybody to be able to make a living however they want. Um, I bet there's a lot of people out there that would like a living of sitting in front of the TV and talking about TV all day. So the second Quinn, or our new Quinn, is harassing Tuvok. I am curious, have the Q always had an absence of manners, or is this a result of some natural evolutionary process that comes with impertinence? What? Oh, you mean just popping in whenever we feel like it? That is the one relevant example. I apologize. At some point along the way, I guess we just stopped thinking about the little niceties. So it seems. But you mustn't think of us as omnipotent. No matter what the Continuum would like you to believe, you and your ship seem incredibly powerful to life forms without your technical expertise. It's no different from us. We may appear omnipotent to you, but believe me, we're not. Intriguing, just what vulnerabilities do the Q have? Always looking for the tactical advantage, Mr. Tuvok. Very good. As a matter of fact, that's why I've come to see you. In a way, our vulnerability is what it's all about. The Q have evolved. We have sacrificed many things along the way. Not just manners, but mortality and sense of purpose, a desire for change, and the capacity to grow. Every loss is a new vulnerability, wouldn't you say? Why are you telling me this? Because I want you to represent me in the hearing. Me, I have no legal expertise, but I need someone who understands the Federation asylum practices. Besides, Vulcans approve of suicide. It is true that the Vulcans who reach a certain infirmity with age do practice ritual suicides. Nevertheless, I fail to see how the fact would be meaningful in this circumstances. I have the right to counsel, Mr. Tuvok. Will you assist me? Okay, so now we're in the briefing room. Again, what's with the lighting? I want to be able to see the people. Why can't we have normal lighting in the briefing room? Really, people, come on. I want to be able to see the people. Why do you have to have low lighting? Why is it dark? This is a meeting. This is a court meeting. Why are the lights off? You make no sense. Okay, so Tuvok is with Q. Let me begin by stating clearly that I expect all parties to act appropriately and with respect for these proceedings. I will not have this hearing turned into a circus. Is that clear? Is that clear, Q? Madam Captain, we are dealing here with an issue of great importance to the Q continuum. I assure you we will take this matter very seriously. Thank you, and please don't call me Madam Captain. Since you've made it clear that your asylum will lead to suicide, you place me in a difficult position. I understand, Captain Quinn says. May I ask you why you want to commit suicide? As difficult as it is for you to imagine, for me, immortality is impossible to endure any longer. In the continuum, an individual has an obligation to be responsible for the path his life follows. His life will follow. Emphasize life, DeLeon says. I've never yielded that obligation to the continuum. If the path I choose leads to death, what right have they to interfere? He's putting his selfish wishes above the welfare of everyone else. I don't agree with the majority. I'd like to be locked up for eternity. You would not be confined if you would not intend on harming yourself. With permission, Captain, I'd like to call an expert on the continuum to discuss implications of the decision. So he says a bunch of stuff and then he takes the stand himself. Thank you for coming. It's a rare honor to have someone of your reputation and accomplishment with us today. Thank you. Tell me, would the impact of accused suicide? He's doing two people. He's going back and forth. I'm not going to do all that. It would be an interruption to the continuum. It would change the very nature of the queue. Could you be more specific, Janeway says. No, because we're not even sure what the end result would be. His suicide could have all sorts of unknown consequences to the continuum. Precisely, it could force the queue to deal with the unknown for the first time since the new era. They're afraid of me because they're afraid of the unknown. How would you characterize his remarks? No Q has ever tried to commit suicide. Immortality is one of the defining qualities of being a Q. Every measure of the continuum, his remarks would have to be considered as mentally unbalanced. Mentally unbalanced, no civilized people on the universe, including the primitive Federation societies, would condone the suicide of a mentally unbalanced person. Tell me, Q, can you offer any other evidence of mental instability on part of the client? He made himself a big and small Q. Can you imagine what they're going to do when Stargate starts with today's technology? I mean, this is like 30 years ago technology. You imagine what they can do with today's technology? So your entire basis for judging him mentally unbalanced is his wish to commit suicide. I submit that is a faulty premise. In many cultures, suicide is acceptable and in of itself cannot be used as evidence of mental illness. I agree with Mr. Tuvok, Janeway says. Vulcans, it is not true that on occasion the continuum has executed Qs for certain crimes. On rare occasions, yes. Didn't their deaths recreate an interruption to the continuum? Their crimes created the interruption. Their death ended it. I know where you're going with this, Lieutenant. Do you? It's not going to work. Our society, like any other society, must control its disruptive elements. An execution may be undesirable, I grant you, but on some rare occasions it is necessary and wanted, and the decision to proceed is only made after great deliberation by the entire continuum. You cannot imagine the chaos that would be created if individuals like you here could choose between life and death. This is a matter of social order versus anarchy. I understand, Tuvok says, and you find nothing contradictory in a society that outlaws suicide but practices capital punishment. No, Q says. Are there any other questions, Lieutenant? Just one other thing. Isn't it true that you yourself were once accused of being mentally unstable by the continuum? Were you not disciplined by inappropriate behavior? Objection, he says. I'll allow the question. My record has been expunged. I will take that as a yes. Thank you, that is all. And the half of him vanishes. Forgive me if this is a rerun. I can't remember. Anyways, just one other thing. Isn't it true that you yourself were accused of being mentally unstable by the continuum? Were you not disciplined inappropriate behavior? Objection. I allow the question. My record has been expunged. I will take that as a yes. Thank you. You're excused. And his other half vanishes. Again, it would be nice to be able to see. Why is the meeting room so dark? Why can't we see people? Um, Captain, Your Honor, I'm here to argue for the majesty of life, what it means to us to be alive. A Q's life takes him to all corners of the universe. The Q's life has touched and affected many others, including some on your own home world. With your permission, I'd like to call some of those people whose lives have been changed by this Q. You want to bring people from Earth? I promise it won't impact the timeline, and no one will remember ever having been here after I send them back. This is most unusual. Do you have any objections, Mr. Tuvok? I am curious as you are, Captain. Proceed. So Q brings Riker, Einstein, and Ginsberg. I don't know what the point is. So she tells Riker that she's Captain Janeway of the USS Voyager. That's correct, Commander. You're aboard Voyager. We're lost in the Delta Quadrant. As much as I wish you could tell them that when you get home, your memories will be wiped when you get back. Ginsberg says, God, if you let me live through this, I promise I'll clean up my act, I swear. Newton says, I demand an explanation. Why are you dressed like that, young man? Man, have you looked in the mirror lately? Allow me to explain, Mr. Ginsberg, Maury Ginsberg, Sir Isaac Newton. William Riker, nice to meet you. Consider for a moment that it might be possible to travel through time to, say, the 24th century on a starship 75,000 light years from Earth. You're having a very strange dream, and in this dream you're seeing this man whom you've met before. Yes, I've seen this man before. We're sitting under the tree one day. The apple fell on your head, right? Yes, that's right. Quite a day, wasn't it? As a matter of fact, this man jostled the tree when he got up to leave, just before the apple fell, and a new era in human science was born. Wait a minute. Weren't you the guy in the Jeep? The guy in the Jeep who picked you up after your own vehicle broke that summer afternoon, isn't that right? Oh man, he was a lifesaver. My van died and they dragged it off the road all because of traffic. It was backed up for miles. You were on the way to a job, yet weren't you? Yeah, I was supposed to be on the follow spot on Tower 3. I never would have made it in time if it weren't for him. Hey, whatever happened with that groovy chick with the long red beads in the back seat? I've been looking for her ever since you dropped me off. You'll see her again, don't worry. To sum up, you were a spotlight operator, an outdoor concert of some sort, a concert that was put in jeopardy moments before it began because the entire system failed. Oh, it was no big deal. Somebody must have dragged in an extension cord with one of the trucks, that's all. I'm just lucky I noticed it. Yes, you were lucky at the right place at the right time, or it would have taken days to track down the problem, and there would have been no concert. Well, I'm sorry to say I've met him, but I've never seen this man before in my life. Are you sure? Has it been established that my client in captivity during all of Commander Riker's lifetime? Have you seen this photograph? On an easel, he shows Riker a picture. Um, that's Colonel Thaddeus Riker after he was wounded at Pine Mountain. They used to call him Old Iron Boots. He was in command of the 102nd New York during General Sherman's march on Atlanta. This picture was taken in 1864, just after they let him out of the Army hospital. And the soldier beside him, well, I'll be damned, it's him. As a matter of fact, he carried your wounded ancestor back from the front line, didn't you? My point is, Captain, that the Q has had a profound influence on these three lives. Without Q, Isaac Newton would have died forgotten in a Liverpool Devers prison, a suspect in several prostitute murders. Without Q, there would have been no concert at Woodstock. Wherever, more importantly, Mr. Ginsberg would have never met his future wife, the groovy chick with the long red beads, and he would never have been a successful orthodontist that settled in Scarsdale with 4 kids. Far out, he says. Yes, without Q, there would have been no William T. Riker at all, and I would have lost at least a dozen really good opportunities to insult him over the years. Oh, and least I forget, without Q, the Borg would have assimilated the Federation. Thank you. So everybody else is sent back home. And Tuvok says, may I remind this hearing that my colleague that for 3 centuries my client has not been allowed contact with anyone. At this time, we would like to reduce the environment in which she was confined. I object. No, I'll allow this. So then they're beamed inside the thing, and they're all squished up against each other. Looks like they're squished in cotton, but that's beside the point. Again, my point is here. If you want me to see these people, you have to turn on the lights. Turn on the lights. What's the point? You can't see anybody. I would submit that the quality of life that my client will have to endure should be considered in this processing. I don't like these conditions any more than you do, Mr. Tuvok, and I wouldn't want to spend another day there if I were you, Q. But if I were to rule on request for asylum, not to judge the penal system of the Q continuum, and he does have a point, you were confined only to prevent you from doing harm to yourself. If you've been doing a great deal of research studying a variety of cultural attitudes on suicide to help me frame the basis of deduction, Mr. Tuvok, are you familiar with the double-edged effect principle on assisted suicide that dates back to the Boolean ages? I believe it relates to the relief of the suffering, does it not? Yes. If someone is really suffering, if someone is in really pain, and they're terminal anyway, that's one thing. Why make someone live in severe agony for a week when you can end it now? There's pros and cons to both sides of that story. But when someone is physically healthy, then I have a problem. Serious, massive problem. Now, I have a problem both ways, but it's a problem. Okay, see, now we're in the mess hall, and now we can see. We can see everybody. We can see what's going on. I prefer this scene to the other scene because I can actually see people here. And they're discussing the case, and Q thinks he's gonna lose. Well, we're outside the ship. We're showing the ship, so you know what that means. Captain's log supplemental. I'm determined to find a better alternative to suicide or endless prison, so I've summoned the advocate Q to make him a proposal. Come to the next session of the hearing and announce that the continuum is ready to reinstate Q into society, that you won't condemn him to that cell for eternity. And you would rule in our favor. I would consider it a meaningful gesture by the continuum. How would you know if I intended to keep my word? Based on my research, you have many things. A rude, interfering, inconsiderate, sadistic. You've made your point. Past. And oh yes, you've introduced us to the Borg. Thank you very much. But one thing you have never done is lie. I think you've uncovered one redeeming virtue. Am I blushing? I wish I could help you, Kathy, but I can't. We're dealing with the most dangerous man in the continuum. Now, I didn't tell you this, but one of his self-destructive sons created a misunderstanding which ignited a 100-year war between the Romulans and the Vulcans. Now, this man goes back into confinement, but I would like to make it easier for the continuum. The continuum is prepared to do you a little favor. If you rule in our favor... If you rule in our favor, I'll take you home. Now that is tempting. Of course, it would end the show. You have to think about that. But they could always go back. They could go to Earth, go, hey, we're alive, and then get tossed out to the Delta Quadrant again. It would be nice to, like, hey, we're alive, we're stuck in the Delta Quadrant. Don't give up on us. Bye. We're in the meeting room again. And it's dark! Again! Why? Why? Excuse me, why does it have to be dark in the meeting room? Why can't we see people? Why is the lighting down for the meeting? You want it to be dramatic, right? Well, could you at least let me see the people? We are prepared to illustrate the nature of the Q's suffering, Captain, but in order to do so, we must show this hearing what life is like in the continuum. And how do you intend to do that? By going to the continuum itself. Is it possible? No, it's ridiculous. You'd never understand. My client has the right to ask for inspection of the living conditions that led to his suffering. I would agree with that. So they go to the Q continuum. A road in the desert? I told you so. This is a manifestation of the continuum that we hope falls within your level of comprehension. Now there's the house, and the next are here. So it's hard to show the group of people when the camera's here. But I just wanted to show it here. Um, Apologize for the lack of hospitality, Captain. We're not used to visitors here. In fact, you're the only ones who've ever come here. Then why is the purpose of the road? The road takes us to the rest of the universe. Then it leads back here, an endless circle. This was your existence before your confinement? I traveled the road many times, sat on the porch, played the games, been the dog, everything. I've even was a scarecrow for a while. Why? Because I hadn't done it. Oh, we're done with the scarecrow. Big deal. I can't say I entirely understand what I'm seeing here, but these people don't seem to be suffering. Of course not. They're happy people. Happy people. What's there to be feel sad about? Look at them. They don't dare feel sad. If they only could, they would progress. Oh, the philosopher speaks. When I was a respected philosopher, I celebrated the continuum, the deviation of life. I agree with that civilizations have achieved purity that no other culture has ever approached. It is a wonderful for a while. At the beginning of the new era, life with Q was a continuous dialogue of discovery and issues from humor all over the universe. But look at them now. They're all just sitting in the chairs. They don't say anything because there's nothing to say because it's all been said before. So they have this continuous debate. And he said he was born a Q and his penance is ended. And he'd like to get on with it. Does the camera have to get so close? They're outside in the middle of the sun. And yet, I. They have a very long, extensive conversation. How this Q admired the other Q and, um, all that stuff. So after the lengthy speech, Janeway says she'll make her decision in the morning. And she's in bed and she's sleeping and it's dark and we can't see again. So then a Q appears in her bed. Did you think about it, author? You mean your bribe, merely an incentive to make this proper decision. I have played no part in my deliberations. No, I told them it wouldn't. That's why I talked them into giving you what you asked for. You have my word. He won't go back to the South. We'll assign someone to look after him, whatever it takes. Is that what you wanted? That's what I wanted. So you've won. Let's celebrate. Just you and me, just the two of us. What? I'll take you home. Before you know it, you'll be scampering across the meadow with your little puppies. The grass beneath your feet, a man coming over the hill in a distance waves to you. You run into his arms and you get closer and it's me. You forget Mark. I know how to show a girl a good time. How would you like a ticker tape parade down Sir Riker Boulevard? The captain would be brought Voyager back, a celebrated hero. I never did anything like that for John Luke, but I feel very close to you. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because you have authority and yet manage to preserve your femininity. And then she's like, would you leave? So Janeway gives a very lengthy speech. And then she says she's granting asylum to Q. So she grants him asylum, and he's now human, no powers. And Q's like, not so much for ticker tape parades. I'm not finished, Q. Now that you're mother, you'll have a new existence to explore, and a new entirely state of being filled with the mysteries of mortal life. Pleasures you've never felt before. I like this life, Q. You might too. Think hard before you give it up. This hearing is adjourned. So then we get a captain's log stardate. We've assigned quarters to our new passenger who has entered his name on this crew manifest as Quinn. I'm anxious to engage him in ship activities as soon as possible. Then she's talking to Chakotay in her room. we could shut down stellar photography with all the knowledge he'd bring to the job. Well, that's going to be a problem with just about everything we assign to him. There's got to be something on board that will. And then the doctor calls Janeway to sickbay. Uh, he's ingested a rare form of Nordic hemlock. There's no known cure. I'm sorry to disappoint you, Captain, but I would only have been pretending to fit into this mortal existence. This is my final gift to my people. I'll tell them those are my last words. I thank you for making this possible. And he dies. Doctor, do you generally keep samples of fatal poisons on hand? Doctor's like, no. So, how do he get his hands? He goes, we do not keep poisons in storage. No, the replicators would not produce them either. So how did he get his hands on the poison? I got it for him. You assisted his suicide? Illogical, Tuvok? I don't think so. By demanding to end his life, he taught me a little something about my own. He was right when he said the continuum scared me back in line. I didn't have his courage or his convictions. He called me irrepensible. That this was a man who was truly irrepensible. I only hope I can be a worthy student. I imagine the continuum won't be happy with you, Q. I certainly hope not. Au revoir, Madame Captain. We shall meet again. And that ends the episode. It's one of the more fun episodes. Q versus Q. And I still think I wish Riker could have carried a message back, or they could have contacted Earth for 5 minutes, or you know, who knows. But I hope you will tune in next week for Life Signs. Oh, here we are again. Life Signs is 36, and then we're going backwards to 35. What is with this show? But anyways, and don't forget, If Then Later Today, and JD Robb readings on Saturday, unboxing on Sunday, flashback Mondays, and my daily book reviews. And all of the shorts that are out there on Outlander are starting at 7:45 every night on the D. Louise Book Series channel. We're reading a chapter of Written in My Own Heart's Blood. Have a good one.